Salute. Comrade salute. Revolutionary salute. Much love. Peace and blessings. Salutations. Saludos. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be up to all. This is the Unlocking Key Show. All right. So this right here is called Revolutionaries Making a Big Impact with Education. All right? Revolutionaries making a big impact with education. It states, it was 1995. I was in my this prisoner is from Oregon. This comrade is from Oregon. It was 1995. I was in my late 20s and totally caught up in the tribal death style. For the first year or so, I spent much of my time learning who was who and how to navigate the very dangerous and reactionary general population yards. It should be noted that in the beginning, we wrecked together in GP yards. This changed in 2004, 2005. At any rate, when I got to the next unit, I met conscious men. Two in particular still stand out in my mind, Kareem and Ray Luck. The former was a student of the party and member of prominent militant entity created by them in the Bay Area. The latter was a staunch revolutionary who walked it like he taught it to the fullest. Kareem used his extensive knowledge learned in the Department of Corrections to teach us. We had mandatory machines, collective exercise with cadets each day, mandatory study of all progressive literature, and mandatory Swahili lessons weekly. Kareem was the taskmaster who used his position within so-called Galika to subtly coerce us towards a soldier's identity. Ray Luck was our source of revolutionary literature. It was through this brother that we learned Marx. Hold on, let me put this right here. Let me see something. All right, it was through this brother that we learned Marx. Lenin, Mao, Fidel, Che, Maoist International Ministry, and other groups and newspapers. Ray Luck used to give us revolutionary education on a daily. Him being Euro-American and being such a firm revolutionary, and in ADX, where 99% of the European captives align with the Aryan identity, speaks volumes about his strength of character and total commitment to struggle. Between the two of these brothers, many ADX reactionaries were forever transformed by their revolutionary organizing efforts. Many street tribal members became nationalists. Others, like myself, went on to then embrace new African revolutionary ideology. Whatever we each went on to do, it was a direct result of the organizing techniques of comrades like Kareem and Ray Luck. Strategies that I utilize to this day actually. Can't stop, won't stop, will not be stopped. Machine. Power to the people. All right, this next one is called From Blind to Revolutionary to Educator. I was first introduced to revolutionary. This comrade is from Kentucky. I was first introduced to revolutionary politics when I was 16, and from then on, it has been a continuous evolutionary process that I have gone through. When first I was blessed to have the blinders lifted from my sleepy eyes, I was going through a battle with the revolutionary politics that I was engaged in. Those politics were reactionary because they were derailing the efforts of the people who sacrificed their minds, sweat, blood, and even their bodies to ensure a better future of their posterity. I was going through this phase because I was just learning how to think. I was born again through Allah's mathematics, and I also saw people such as Comrade George Jackson as a source of inspiration, being that in my past life I was a gang member. I encountered a lot of opposition from my once gang homies, but I was determined to follow in the way of Allah and to also become a part of the vanguard that does not fear the death of 1,000 cuts. So, a brother by the name of Comrade Teddy helped to open the eyes of the one sleeping giant. I had always had a rebellious streak, but didn't know why. I now know that it was due to my innate ability to resist and never know how, or know to, or cow to. I think it's a misspelled word. In the wilderness of North America, it's hard to relate ideas and ideas of struggles for liberation to even lower disenfranchised segments of the population. It's hard because they have accepted their position as national and international scapegoats. So in the belly of the beast in Kentucky, where the intellectual level is relatively minute, it's even harder. The beasts, which is the pigs, have convinced the inmates against writing grievances. Yeah, they do that in New York too. That, if you write a grievance, right? The COs don't manipulate a lot of prisoners. Like, yo, if you write a grievance, you're a snitch. I should be like, yo, don't fall for that dumb shit. Because, as they saying, if you do a lawsuit, you're a snitch. Like, listen, you got to do a grievance. You got to do a complaint. Like, this is your human right. Like are you retarded? Like, this is your human right. Like, snitch, that word snitch only applies, and informant only applies. No, informant is if you're informing the police and informing the motherfucking government for no fucking apparent reason whatsoever. That's an informant. Now, snitch, right, is a person that you're in the lifestyle of crime, you got caught, right, and now you're snitching on other people. That didn't get caught. That's a snitch. All right. You either snitching on your co-defendants or you snitching on other people, giving up information on other people that didn't get caught. That's a snitch. And informant, as a person who informs the government or informs the police on other people. That's an informant. All right. Agent provocateur is people who is like an instigator. They instigate shit to try to see if something could pop off, so like that someone could get locked up, or so like that someone could get framed, things of that nature. And be like, look, see, I saw you there was nothing but criminals, or I saw you there was nothing but gang members, or I saw you there was nothing but another gang type thing, this, that, and the third. Those are what you call agent provocateurs, right? These are the ones that they do shit without them even knowing, and like, listen, yo, you actually working for the man, man. We be doing shit like that. Like, are you conscious of what you're doing? All right. So now this next one right here says, finding ways to relate helps. Finding ways to relate helps educate. These were very thought-provoking questions you asked. Do you find it impossible to relate to people in your facility? Do your organizing conversations go nowhere? Do you struggle to get people to see the importance of writing grievances? Well, yes. Yes and yes. Many people say it's futile. Show them. Tell them. Examples of otherwise. Offer to help if necessary. I get angry with those who say, and this is quite common, don't come to prison if you don't like it. I say, so you must like prison by that logic. And I point to the relatively small time offensive here compared to the larger ones perpetrated on us and the other oppressed people. I'll say, look around. See anyone with any money, any rich or much less upper class people up in here. I will appeal to their humanity and ask if it is okay to take parents, mothers in my case, it's a women's facility, away from their children for trying to support themselves, point out the economic basis of most crime in here. Drug addicts often say, wow, listen, most of the times when I be reading the letters and the newspapers, it's just basically men. You know what I mean? Men, or it could be someone from the LGBT community, whether it's a tranny or it's a gay dude or it's a bisexual dude or some shit like that. But this is the first time I see like a woman actually doing an article piece here. Wow, that's what's up. And it's Women History Month still. Wow. All right. So drug addicts often say prisons are right on. It says, do you know the statistics of recidivism to not only drugs, relapse, but reincarceration? In a group, one can say all 5 of you claim you won't come back, but 4 of you will. Which ones? Why could this be? And point out the felon branding, job killing under class designation. We don't have realistic options to not be around opportunities to use drugs, sell drugs, etc. And more importantly, why do people use the drugs they do? I'll talk about Dr. Gabor Mate's theory of addiction, science of addiction, and how drug cases and or addiction is dealt with in other countries. How capitalism and materialism feed the alienation and psychic and physical pain behind some addictions. Is there recreational use? Why is marijuana now legal in 2/3 of states, from full recreational to medical, yet feds still criminalized? We have several women here on marijuana charges. Most importantly, I cultivate goodwill, openness, and friendliness to most inmates. I ask them about their families and comment on family support being such a blessing. I talk to women, joke with them, and show my own struggles, vulnerability, and wishes. I share pictures and stories of their dogs and my dogs together, boyfriends, and I see people's good characteristics and basic drive to connect. I redirect all the positive things into imagining what constitutes actions from first being thought of as crazy. Now I am considered a fiery, spunky fighter in my 60s. I don't look or act like it, they say, and I do not believe I have a single enemy out of 93 women. A few of the CEOs do not like me, however, because I would challenge them, not needlessly, or if I am doing something I could go get written up for. For example, one telling me I was disrespectful. Well, this is true. I do not respect lizards who jail people and profit off suffering. However, they cannot punish a feeling, only an action. So having the correct attitude but avoiding an action that only hurts yourself and denying the CEO a win is a win for the cause. I cannot see the state weakening. It seems even more powerful every day, especially legally. The feds especially are punishing small economic and drug crimes with 5 years and up sentences. The new Attorney General is pushing the agenda for prosecutors to go for the high end of guidelines and give out longer sentences for victimless crimes that murder in most cases, than murder in most other countries. Now, they saying that people are getting sentenced to a lot of years. Now, nonviolence is now getting sentenced to more time than people with violent cases. The decisions by the Supreme Court and Appeals Court has seldom been in the interest of the people. The reason gay and lesbian movements are being championed is because they do not challenge the status quo on the capitalist power structure whatsoever. Think if felons receive the same consideration in hiring and for government's benefits. But it is completely legal to be prejudiced and deny any employment or service based on being a felon. The new Jim Crow isn't just for new Africans anymore. It's also for Latinos and also for poor whites and it's also for the Asians as well too. That's my thinking. If I am to be a martyr, you will know. I like my life or death to have some consequence in the struggle. Now this is the response. Myris International Ministry responds back. And in everything we do, we must try to determine what will have the most impact the fastest. Sometimes people are ready to just hear facts and then start doing political work. Right? Most often people hear truth and what we're saying, but also have a lot of resistance and ambivalence. As organizers, we're trying to influence them and push them, so helping them through these roadblocks is our job. In these types of conversations, there is a natural dialectic that occurs where one person takes one position, the other person naturally argues the opposite position. And the more we argue a position, the more likely we are to internalize that position and behave accordingly. So often we fall into the trap of trying to tell people what to think, inadvertently enter into a head-on debate. Or we rely on luck that the timing is right for them to grasp on what we're saying. These are the easy routes of recruiting because they don't require as much thoughtfulness or introspection on our part. And when people don't grasp it, we can put the blame on them for being lazy or too caught up in tribalism, capitalism, whatever. And sometimes we get lucky and people do grasp it, which validates our mediocre approach. But if we want to do the most effective at helping people grow and change, we have to understand where they're coming from and where they're at. And impersonal recruiting, such as sloganeering, smear campaigns, public speaking, and writing, understanding our audience might just mean understanding or defining the class, nation, and gender intersections and cultural background. There is always individual variability, but even when trying to reach people on a group level, we can have an understanding of where they're coming from. We aim to speak to and with our audience down thumb. Yeah, I know what's that like. You know what I'm saying? Because they did a smear campaign on me. You heard? Now I, as a noble young lord, has been no smear campaigns. But, the year when I retired from the Almighty Land Kickfoot Nation, and I took the veteran seat, that was like the same year. It was like a smear campaign, from like the year 2018, I think it was. 2018. Yeah, so I know about smear campaigns. That's when people have slander. They use slander. They'll slander you. They'll talk about they'll talk about you whether it's true or not. They'll make up shit. They'll take a little truth and then add a whole bunch of shit just to hype it up. You know what I mean? It's called hyperbole. You know what I mean? Like exaggerating. You know what I mean? Just to sensationalize the story and whatnot. All right. It says, if we're having one-on-one conversations, then helping them break through their roadblocks might also include getting to know what's important to people on a personal level. Then we can relate to the growth back to their personal goals and show how the two are actually intertwined. This author explains how they take this approach to show people that they are on the same team. This much different than the "you're wrong, if you don't agree with me, fuck you" approach that so many of our comrades take in their recruiting. I mean, I'm gonna get to a certain degree now, see, because people like to try to label me with my past. Like, listen, my past will not define me. I mean, my present define me. Don't. I mean, the past is the past. The past is not my present. So when it comes to that, I'm like that too. Like, listen, all right, if you still see me as the past, then there's no need to fuck with each other type shit. You know what I mean? Because you see me from the past, you don't see me for the present, and you don't see me for the future. You know what I mean, that's the way I keep it pushing. You know. Like, for example, I used to be a stick-up kid when I was a youth. You still gonna see me as a stick-up kid? Like, I'm not a stick-up kid no more. You know, like whatever I did in the past, I did in the past. That's not my present. You know, you shouldn't like, it's just like when people's like, oh, but I remember when you used to do this, when you used to do that. Okay, used to. That's the key word. Used to do this, or you did that, or no, that's past tense. It is not present, like you're doing this, or you know what I mean? This is happening now. It's not present tense. All right? Past is past, present is present, future is future. So that's the difference. All right? Now, I just like to address it because sometimes, there's people on social media, there's people out here on the ground here in New York that likes to hold on to things from the past and try to make it seem like the past is actually the present when it's not. It's actually misconstruing, it's slandering, and it's a smear campaign, and it might not be intentional, but it borderlines being an agent provocateur. All right. Okay. Now let's see. It says when we know someone is interested in doing political work but is showing resistance or ambivalence, we can choose to dismiss them or we can go deeper. We can lay blame or we can take responsibility. Organizing is hard, we can try harder. This comrade criticism that some movements are allowed or even promoted because they don't challenge imperialism is on point. Allowing gay people or allowing anyone for the LGBT period to serve in the military is a good example of this. We won't fight to expand the imperialist military in any way. At the same time, allowing discrimination against felons is a way to target oppressed nations while masking it behind a label of criminal activity. People convinced of felonies are disproportionately new African or Chicano. Yeah, that's another reason why for the No Bionos Party is open to the LGBT community as well. As the same reason why the Myers International Ministry of Prison is also open to the LGBT community as well. All right, because, oppressed to anyone, we stand against oppression. Me as an individual, as a Muslim, I stand for, justice. I speak truth to justice, speak truth to power, and I stand for social justice. And as a noble young lord, and as a chairman of Noble Young Lord, boom, we stand in solidarity with all oppressed people, who are fighting for freedom, justice, and equality. This is where our understanding of the bigger picture of prisons as a tool of social control is critical. Oppressed nations are targeted for imprisonment, even though white people also get caught up in the prison dragnet. This is most definitely a system of national oppression in a way to handle the lumping population which will otherwise be idle and questioning its lack of economic opportunity. A perfect recipe for politicization. In fact, the prison boom was a direct response to revolutionary activity in the 1960s and the 1970s. All right? So I'm going to end it with that. So with that said, peace. Assalamu alaikum to my brothers and sisters. All right? Salutations and greetings. Peace and blessings. Bulletproof love. All right? Comrade salute. Revolutionary salute. Royal salute. One Lord, one people, stay noble. It's all about nobility. Power to the people. Peace.